Glad you could make it in here. And today we're talking about putting together your PMP application. You know, for a lot of people, this is the single most daunting part of the PMP. They think they can handle the exam, which is a story unto itself, but the application is the thing that seems to dog a lot of people right out of existence. So what we're going to be doing is actually walking through step by step the entire application process. And my assumption is that you, my friends, is that you are actually going to be following along on your own laptops or on your own desktops and basically following the same pages I'm following and starting to pursue or at least fill in some of the blanks that exist on your application. So that's kind of where I'm going. At any point in time, you can go ahead and you can flag, if you will, a chat to me. You can drop a question to me, and I've got those up on a second screen. So right now, and can I get somebody to affirm just either by the raise of a hand or else by dropping me a question in the questions interface? You're looking at the PMI homepage right now, right? Yes? Okay, great. Lots of hands. Excellent. Okay, then let's get to work on this. Okay, let me hide my little camera. Let me hide all that stuff there. On the homepage, first place you want to go is certifications. And now there's going to be a temptation here. And let me just share what that temptation is. A lot of you are going to want to go here and click on that. Don't do that. Seriously, don't do that. Because I'll tell you what that does. It takes you into background information about the PMP. Now, you might think, oh, well, that would be good. I'd like to have background information on the PMP. Yeah, you'd like to think so, wouldn't you? But bad data. There's actually some bad data in there, so don't go there. And it's not that it's bad data, it's misleading data. It's data you don't need. It's wording that actually confuses people on the certification process. First place you want to go is right here where it says apply now. So we're going to click on that. We go to apply now. Now here's where it's going to ask for your PMI username. And if you have not yet set one up, you will need to set up a login. Carl, how much is this where I have to pay for my PMI membership? No. You don't have to go there. That's the nice thing about this. You don't have to actually pay for your PMI membership yet. All you have to do is just put in your login. So I'm going to go ahead and put mine in. Mine is demo person. And let me go ahead and put in little demo person here and log in as demo person. And you'll come to this page. Now yours won't look like mine because I've been in here so many times. All of yours will look like this. They're all going to look like apply for, and yours will say PMP credential. Now, a note. I want you to note before we go anyplace else, I want you to notice what's down here. And that's a PDF. It's a PDF. It's a PDF link. And when you actually start filling this thing out, and as you'll notice, mine has expired. And we'll talk about that. But mine has a different PDF, and it's download the application. At any stage of the process, when you come to this page, you can download a PDF. Now, the nice thing about downloading a PDF, you download the PDF, you now have a hard copy, a paper copy of your application. Well, you have the PDF version anyhow. You can print it out on your printer. The nice thing about that too is you can now forward that PDF to me. By virtue of the fact that you opted to attend this festivity, I am happy to take a look at yours and tell you, hey, you did everything I told you to. I wept openly. It's perfect. Go ahead and submit. Or I can go, whatever you do, don't submit that. Stop. So sorry about that. But you can control yourself. Now, if you got in and started filling this out more than 90 days ago, obviously I did. I started filling this out more than 90 days ago, and you can see my application has expired. And you might be like, oh, no, 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 they are not going to make me re-enter all that data. No, they're not. It's all fine. It's all good. All you're going to have to do is just reopen your application. And when you reopen it, all your old data is there. Now it says, keep working on your PMP application. Cool. And we're going to go in there and we are going to look at our PMP application. At any given point in time, if you want me to stop, if you have some issue you want to bring to the fore, you're going to need to type. You're going to need to type in just any questions in there. And Akshay said, after the course, can you create a WhatsApp group for questions and answers and better connectivity with you? Wow. The short answer is I'd have to figure out how to set up a WhatsApp group. Oh my gosh, he's old. Yeah, I am. I should actually tell you this. I am one of the people who wrote PMBOK 4th edition. I've been a PMP since you'll hate this, 92. And I have led over 3,100 of my students successfully to pass the exam. This is one of those beautiful things. And actually, the best way to reach me, bar none, is an email. I always get back to email within 24 hours. I try to keep up with my LinkedIn. I try to keep up with my Facebook. I try to keep up with Instagram. I try, pick your social medium. But just so you know, the best, cleanest, easiest way to reach me is email. And we'll harp on my email a lot, which is carl@carlpritchard.com. So that's out there. But let's get in there and start working on this thing. So you go in and you put in your address. Now, most of you should have no challenge with this. The only key is if you have a home and a work address, pick the one that is, well, real. Where do you actually see the mail? Where do you where do you plan on staying for a while? Because PMI is lousy at changing addresses. You'll note my default address in here is 513 Wilson Place. That used to be where my office was. Then my office moved to 517 Wilson Place. My current office address, 521 Wilson Place. And yet, I try to change it in the PMI interface, and despite all my editing, it just doesn't seem to work well. So pick one where you're kind of stable. That's kind of helpful as well. Then your contact information, ditto on emails, by the way. If you're a member of the Email Du Jour Club, if they change all the various and sundry ways in which they approach your email. Last week you were Carl.Pritchard. Today you're Carl Pritchard. Tomorrow you're C. Pritchard. It's like, oh, please, stop. Yeah, pick one. Yeah, and in some cases, for some of you, this will be your Gmail account. And that works just fine. Same thing on phone numbers. What's your real number? What's your real extension? This is where it starts to matter. Everything up till now was primarily administrative. This is what matters. This is the part where you really have to start thinking about, okay, what did I do? First, did you graduate from a PMI GAC accredited university program? I don't care. Shh. I know I should care. I should care deeply. PMI wants me to care. But the reality is, does it change anything? And the answer is no. It doesn't change squat. It doesn't change a thing. In fact, what's kind of interesting about this is it doesn't matter. It used to, but it no longer matters. All PMI is doing that for is data gathering. They want to find out, did you actually care that you attended a PMI GAC accredited program? But they do not expect you to actually have, well, done it or know it or anything else, and it doesn't change anything. Only things that change things. First, did you graduate from high school? You did? Good for you. That's the minimum threshold. Did you graduate from college with a bachelor's degree or higher? Now note I said or higher. There's at least one person on this call, and I don't know who she is, but there's at least one person on this call who is Dr. And just so you know, doctor, I know you worked hard for your PhD. I really do. And good on you for that, by the way. I have a son. He's a doctor. Not medical. He's a PhD. And it's one of those things where he worked very hard to become Dr. Pritchard. But I have to tell you, PMI doesn't care. PMI genuinely doesn't care. They really don't. Now they ask you down here, what's the highest level you attained? Did you get a high school diploma or an associate's degree? If you got either of those two, congratulations. You got a high school diploma. Hey, Carl, I worked real hard on my associate's degree. I know, and I'm sorry, but it doesn't count for anything. So you want to click whichever one is true, but at the same time, if you got your bachelor's, master's, and or doctorate, the one that counts is your bachelor's degree. That's right. The other degrees, while impressive to all of us, while they are inspired to all of us, the reality is PMI doesn't care. And so as a result, you'll pick whichever one you got, but know that you're not getting any bonus points for being Dr. It doesn't really matter. Year the degree was awarded, oh lordy, it does go back into the 70s. Isn't that sad? And what field of study? Again, field of study, pick which one actually reflects what you do. Don't feel like it's going to make a change in how PMI looks at your application. It's not going to. It's not going to change a thing. So we march right along. The diploma, well, it's interesting you said the diploma also works. Now, let me back up a slide if I might and go here. Notice what it says. It says highest level of education attained or global equivalency. So if they call it something different in the country from which you came, that's fine, as long as you know what it is. If it is I got out of 12 years of high school, that kind of thing. If I graduated from grade 12, then yeah, you have a high school diploma or the global equivalency. If you got your bachelor's degree, but they called it something else, ta-da, that's the global equivalency. Now, if by chance, and most people don't have this sitting in their desk drawer, I happen to. I attended the Ohio State University. Ooh, yeah, buddy. And this is actually my transcript from Ohio State. This is my transcript from OSU. And I keep this on hand because I have a client who actually wants me to prove that I got my bachelor's degree. So I'm proving it to them. But it's noteworthy that a 10 plus 3, that would be a high school diploma. Yeah, assuming that that's what it is in your country. That's a question that came up, by the way. Was 10 plus 3, question mark? And Diraj, let me find you here in the roster. I know you're on here somewhere. There you are. And Diraj, I'm unmuting you. Now, let's see if it did it. Okay, you got yourself muted, Diraj. If you want to unmute yourself, you can actually explain to me what a 10 plus 3 is. Okay, you're live. Oh, nope. His mic's off altogether. He bailed on me. There we go. Okay, and going twice. Fair enough. If 10 is the high school diploma and plus 3 is your bachelor's degree, that would work. The reason it matters, though, on those two tiers, if you have a bachelor's degree or better, if you have a bachelor's degree, the global equivalent or better, then you have to account for 4,500 hours of project management experience over the past 8 years. If, by contrast, you have a high school diploma and never made it into the collegiate ranks, then you have to account for 7,500 hours of project management experience over the past 8 years. That's a lot. That's a pretty high hurdle to climb. So just kind of a heads up on that. That's why this actually matters. Let's march a little further along here. And then this is where it actually tells you, hey, guess what? You've got these things to worry about. You've got to get 3 years experience. And people freak over the whole non-overlapping thing. That's where people get really, really upset. They do. They, for some reason, it's, oh my gosh, oh, non-overlapping. I had 8 projects going. Now I'm gonna give you a kind of a pop quiz, and I want you to. You don't have to answer it out loud, but I do want you to see if you can pass my pop quiz. Pop quiz is pretty simple. So you had a project. We're going to call it Project A. Project A ran from January to December of 2018. January to December 2018 was Project A. How many months of experience do you get for Project A, even though it was only 500 hours of your time? 500 hours of your time during 2018 was spent from January to December on Project A. How many months have we covered? Now, if you're saying 12, boom, you're Einstein. Yep, you've arrived. It's all good because you've now covered 12 months of unique, non-overlapping experience. Now, let's say you had Project B. Project B, also in 2018, and also from January to December. It ran 1,000 hours from January to December. Now, how many months experience do you have in 2018? You had Project A and Project B. How many months experience do you have in 2018? It's a trick question. You still only have 12 months. This is when they're talking about unique non-overlapping experience. When they're talking about that, that's what they mean. Now, will you get credit for the 500 hours from Project A and the 1,000 hours from Project B? Yes. That'll be 1,500 hours. Oh, and you'll notice that sub-bullet there. It says within that period, you need to have directed the project for at least 4,500 hours. Well, in 2018, if you had those 2 projects, you'd have 1,500 hours knocked down. Oh, but you'd still only have 12 months done. You can't get more than 12 months out of a year. Got it. So, the hours, you can stack projects to your heart's delight. You can have 4, 5, 6 projects in a single year, but a little tip on filling out the application and a little tip on what gets them riled. Don't exceed 2,000 hours in a year. Don't exceed 2,000 hours in a year. Oh, why not? Carl, I work like a dog. I put in 60 hours a week. I am just a machine in the office. Boo-hoo. PMI doesn't care. In fact, 2,000 hours means you've been working 40-hour weeks all year. 2,000 hours means 40-hour weeks all year. And some of you do honestly put in a lot more than 40 hours in a week. PMI says, if you're doing that, you're not a good project manager. Seriously, that's their attitude on this. They really believe you should not account for more than 2,000 hours in a year because you should be able to get your work done in 2,000 hours in a year. I had one guy working for a DoD contractor who came back to me and said, I looked at his application and I said, you know you are begging to have them reject you? And he said, why? And I said, because you claimed 3,800 hours in 1 year. I said, Carl, I work for the DoD. I'm putting in 80-hour weeks. I'm doing serious work here. And I said, just so you know, that doesn't make you a great project manager. It means you're just overworked. And he said, well, what am I supposed to do? And I said, claim 40 hours a week. Well, what about all the extra work? PMI says if you're doing that, you're being a bad project manager. Good project managers manage their time so they can get their job done and have, you ready for this? Hold on, I'm swallowing hard. Work-life balance. Can you believe that? Yeah, so the reality is you're looking at roughly 40 hours a week, 2,000 hours a year. Put more than 2,000 a year in, you're red flagged. Carl, what's that work out to a month? 167 hours a month. So when you're stacking your projects and you're overlapping them, and you start realizing, wow, that means that in April I put in 280 hours, that's a red flag, and that's a potential problem. Now, note that if you have the 4-year degree or the global equivalent, then you've got the need for 3 years and 4,500 hours. If you have a high school diploma, you need 5 years of experience and 7,500 hours. How far back can you go to claim experience? 8 years. Congratulations. We're coming up on April 2019. That means you get to go all the way back to April 2011. You were younger, but you look good. That's what counts. You can go all the way back to April of 2011, but no further. And if you do put in more than that, they'll flag it and they'll cut it off. They will not give you credit for something that actually stretches across that boundary. And I'll show you how that looks here in just a moment, because we're actually going to look at the experience and the education. We're going to do the easy part first. That's the education. This is the really easy part. Oh, some of you have taken or plan to take a PMP boot camp. You're planning on taking a boot camp. Good for you. Now, however many hours you sat with your derriere in a chair in that boot camp, that's how many contact hours of education you're claiming. And you need to claim a whopping total of 35 hours. And it doesn't all have to be PMP prep. You'll notice I've got a Project Management Essentials class in my example here. Yeah, that would count. And some of you are now sinking your head into your hands going, oh my gosh, where am I going to find 35 hours of education? Well, let me ask you this. And let me get a quick show of hands, if I might. I'm going to look for a show of hands here. And what I'd like to find out is how many of you have attended any mandatory organizational ethics training? Any of you have to attend any organizational ethics training? Ah, Jeffrey, you went to the organizational ethics class. And my guess is it was probably a 1 or a 2 hour fandango. And you went there, and congratulations. That's 1 or 2 hours, contact hours, of subject matter that is relevant to project management. Congratulations. 2 hours down, 33 to go. How do you have to prove this? Well, if you're trying to prove you got it from an organization, if you have the certificate, wow, sweet to be you. Most of us chuck those things, though. That's the real problem. We have this nasty out. We go, oh, geez, one more certificate for the wall, yay! And frankly, it's just kind of a headache. So those certificates, here's what I'd like you to do with them. If you don't have them, if you have just the receipt from the class, from the training, if you have the original syllabus from the training, that'll be helpful. Now, if it was internal, like Jeffrey's ethics training, if it was internal, here's what I want you to do. Go to your HR people and say, hey, HR people, I need your help. I need a printout of all the training I've done since I started here. Oh, wow. If they have the printout, and one of my clients, a major financial institution, kind of interesting, their official printouts are basically done on a 9-pin dot matrix printer. And they look like they're something out of the 70s. The beauty of it is they use that in case they get audited. And that's sufficient. Any proof that you were actually in the training. Carl, after I got my degree, I took a course in leadership skills and communication. Great, that would count. Would, yeah. All you'd need is just proof that you took it. Well, it was 3 credit hours, so that's 3 hours? No. Credit hour is not the same as a contact hour. Credit hours, college credit hours, like 3, means that you sat in a classroom probably for 3 hours a week for 6 weeks. Well, let's see, 3 hours a week for 6 weeks. That's 18 hours you spent with your derriere in a chair. Congratulations. That's 18 contact hours. Oh, this little dance we're doing today, we're 1 contact hour, 34 to go. But you have to come up with 35 of these. Carl, since when? Does that also go back 8 years? No. This goes back to the date you got your degree. I graduated, and this is a scary thing, I graduated from Ohio State in 1979, which means that any class I took 1980 and later, so you're like, wow, that was before I was born. Yeah, I know. Don't rub it in. But 1980 or later would count towards sitting for the PMP. It would count. How long? Oh, and Vishal asked that question. Yeah. See, Vishal, you're my psychic friend. Good question. Yeah, Vishal asked the question saying, how long can we go back on the training hours? All the way back to after you got your degree. So whenever you got that degree that you claimed for PMI, that's how far back you can go, which is for some of us pretty far back. So you'll claim those education hours. And as I said, those are the easy ones to prove. Then comes the hard part of this, and that is the PM experience piece. Now, you'll notice I've got just a whole host of things in here, a whole bunch of them. But I want to go in and let's see. Which one shall I use? I think I'll use the the business intelligence program. Yeah, let's go there. 2004 to 2014. Now, think about that. Does work experience count as PUs? Work experience counts here. Work experience does not count for the education piece. Yeah, unlike after you get your PMP, when you can use work experience to claim life experience, here they're broken out separately. Education is one piece, the work is another. They're two completely different animals. So, no, yeah, work experience does not count as education. So for work experience, you have to identify specific work. What were you doing? And right here on this page, I want to talk about how you can screw things up. First off, and I've done it royally here, I've already given them a red flag to investigate. I used the word program. Which is going to make some people at PMI very nervous because they're going to assume I'm covering multiple projects. And they will email it back to me and they'll say, hey, Carl, just a heads up, you can only claim one project at a time. So you need to break out that program into all of its subsequent projects. It's a big change from the way it was done even as recently as 3 or 4 years ago. And so you'll need to make sure you kind of avoid the word program. And sometimes it's just a matter of just go in and get rid of it. Project title, Business Intel. Boom. There. Got rid of the word program, got rid of the red flag. Just that simple. The other thing that's going on with this one that makes it kind of, difficult, you'll note that March 04 to March 2014. Let's see here. How far back can we go? Oh, yes, 8 years. The system is only going to let me claim from March 2011 to March 2014. It's only going to let me claim the 3 years of experience. Everything that happened before March 2011 is gone. It'll be ripped out of the thing by the system. System will actually strip it clean. So just so you know, not pretty, but it is what happens. And your title, your project role. This is a drop-down menu. There is only one truly, really awful, bad answer here. That one. Project contributor. That's as dark as it gets. Don't pick project contributor. Well, Carl, realistically, on that project, I was just a contributor. I don't care. Don't pick it. If you're feeling compelled to use project contributor as your selection, let me just stress to you, go here, other. Go to other and make up a title for yourself. Mine, the one I chose here was task lead, which smells an awful lot like project contributor. Shh. But the beauty of that is I didn't use that term. PMI wants people who were leaders, people who were managers. They do not want contributors. They want people who are managing projects to be project management professionals. And you can't fault them for that. That's kind of the road they've gone down. So that's one of the places where you can really choke on your application. And as far as what other title, just make sure it sounds, well, managerial. If you don't fall into one of their categories, just identify what you do. The one thing you don't want to sound like you're doing is ongoing work. Projects are unique. Projects are one of a kind. They have a beginning and an end. And as such, anything you do that makes it sound like you were just doing work. Oh, keywords to avoid up here at the top too. Here's a bad word. Maintenance. Oh, man. Carl, I do a lot of maintenance projects. Don't care. Find another term. Another bad word to use here. Process. We were creating a new process. Okay. You can get away with that legitimately, and PMI will accept it legitimately. But just so you know, if you don't explain that your job was to create the process and not to implement the process, then, you know, if it just says process and that's what they see, the alarm bells are going off, and you need to be aware of that. You need to be kind of tuned into that. Hey, Carl, can I do this process fast? I want to know the PMP knowledge stuff. Oh, this hour is strictly about filling out the application. That is what this hour takes. And just so you know, Akshay, if you want to hang out afterwards and talk a little bit about what actually is embedded on the exam and what the latest dirt is on the exam, I'll be happy to chat about that. But this is focused on just getting through the app. That's kind of where we're going with this. The next page here is, this is who you worked for and what your title was. Doesn't matter what your title was. So just put in whatever your title was, where you worked, what the address was, the phone number. That's all pretty rudimentary stuff. You should be able to get through that. And let's go down here. And oddly enough, this doesn't look like it. This is the single most important page of your application. This is your organizational contact. If you are part of the 1 of 6 people who get audited for the PMP exam, if you're one of the 6, and yes, 1 out of 6 get audited. That's a random audit. It's nothing you did on your application. It's just, hey, congratulations, you're getting audited. The random audit is a real pain, and I just got an email from a guy right before we got started who said, Carl, thanks for all your help on the application. FYI, I'm being audited. And I was like, oh man, that's a bad day. But it'll pop up when you submit your payment, when you submit your application, it'll go, congratulations, you've been selected for an audit. It's nothing you did. It just means the system pulled you out as 1 out of 6. This person becomes crucial to your success. It should be somebody you can physically touch. Should be somebody you can physically touch. And by that, I mean just that. You can put your hand on their shoulder on any given day. If you can, just a heads up that that's a good thing. The reason I say that is because if you get audited, all you have to do is they'll send you a copy of your application in a slightly reformatted way, and it'll say, here's your first work experience, here's your second work experience, here's your third work experience, and so on. And you'll take your first one and you'll go find your organizational contact. You'll walk up and you'll go, hey, Laverne's boss, I need you to look at this and sign it. Now, if you have reviewed your application with them beforehand because you chose them as an organizational contact, life is good. If, however, it's somebody A in a completely different office, you're in Chicago, they're in San Fran. Oh, you have a problem. You really do. You have a huge problem. And the huge problem you have is that, well, quite frankly, you've got to go track them down. Now you've got to send snail mail to San Francisco because those forms that PMI has sent you, well, you can actually go ahead and fax them or you can email them to the person on the other end of the universe. But when you send it off, they've got to sign in ink, yes, he did all this. Then they fold it. They put it into a number 10 envelope. They seal the envelope. And before they send the envelope back to you, they have to sign across the seal of the envelope and then send it back to you. That can't be done via email. It has to be done via snail mail. So you'll be dealing with the post and the postal service. And that's a real chore. Unless it happens to be a person down the hall. Somebody you can reach out and physically touch. That's why they need to be close by. Is the contact information mandatory? Now, yes, it is. You're going to have to put in someone as an organizational contact, but here, look at the options. Project sponsor. Oh, she's really busy. Forget her. Let's see, client. They really didn't like me that much. I don't think I want to use them. Manager, director. I'm using this to get another job, so I don't think I want my manager or director. Oh, look at the last one. My favorite, primary stakeholder. Oh, lovely. Who's a primary stakeholder? Anybody who is positively or negatively influenced by or has a positive or negative influence on your project. Oh, wow. Well, I'll tell you, the woman down the hall, Amelia Bedelia, she was so helpful during the whole project. She knew everything we were doing, and granted, her role was primarily administrative, but Amelia was just insanely helpful. Well, congratulations. Amelia can be your primary stakeholder. You know, she meets all the criteria. 1, she's right down the hall. 2, she likes you. Those things matter because if I want to get this form signed, turned around, and get it back, that's a big deal. Now, Diraj has a whole bunch of questions here. Let's see. What if the person you were reports to in your previous organization also left the organization when you did? Not to worry. You've got Amelia. Or if you still know where that person is, if they haven't moved to, say, Kuala Lumpur or something, then all the better because they're still next door. So that's all good. That doesn't really matter. What if you had multiple directors and managers over the course of the experience? Now, you're going to love me for this. The reason is pick the one who liked you the most and who's the most convenient to you. Really. They didn't have to be the one who carried you through the entire project. They just had to be there for that experience, for just part of it, and know what you did. So that when you say, I did this, they can go, absolutely. So it was like, oh, this is perfect. Because there were actually people who liked me on this project. Good to be you. And that's going to work out real handsomely for you. You don't need to get 3 different directors or 3 different signatures. All you're going to need is 1. So that's all good. That was a great question, by the way. Oh, country code is required. Sorry. Please use numbers only. Oh, jeez. Stop it. And now we're down to filling out the experience domains. I think I missed something. So the contact is provided. Yes, the contact is provided per project. Exactly. Organizational contacts are project by project. Right now we're working on the Acme project, for example. And for the Acme project, we had 500 hours initiating, 6,000 hours of planning, 500 hours of executing, 1,500 hours of monitoring and controlling, and 1,500 hours of closing the project. Carl, how in heaven's name am I supposed to figure out how many hours I had? Well, your best bet. First, figure out the time period, and then figure out how many hours you had on that particular project. Okay, so you're with me that far? Cool. So you figured out how many hours. So let's say in this case it was 3,000, 9,000, it was 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours. Then you need to split them across the domain areas. What was the biggest chunk of your job? Now I'm going to show you how you can do this completely, utterly wrong. Here's how you can do this wrong. You go there, you go there, there, there. That's wrong. Just want you to know that's wrong. Why? Because that will red flag my application so fast it'll make your head spin. Why? Because I did not spend 1,500 hours in every single domain area. Nobody is that rigid. Nobody works that way. So you need to vary the hours. Are they expecting a certain balance of hours? Is there something they're looking for? No. They're just looking to make sure you don't have zero. They're also looking to make sure you have a certain number of hours in every one of these. Okay, let's see here. Can you use the same organizational contact for multiple projects? Oh, Mikesha, yes. You can use the same person all the way through your whole blessed application. If you work for the same company, or if this one person has just trailed along with you for your entire career, it is sweet to be you. Because then, as long as they actually like you, you get to walk down the hall and go, hey, I need you to sign a bunch of forms, which is a beautiful thing. Now, Ann raised a question. Let's see here. I have an associate, so I've had many projects, several supervisors, one of whom knew what I was doing all the time, even when I didn't report to him. Should I use him even though at the end I didn't report to him and he was doing a different part of it? Oh, absolutely, Ann, because he would be a primary stakeholder because he knew what you were doing. That's it. Yeah, he's a primary stakeholder. And that's the real key here, is just to make sure that you are that individual. So you want to make sure you're, that person is perfect. That person's in really good shape. So don't put in the same number of hours. Be as honest as you can be. Carl, it was 8 years ago. I barely remember the name of the project, let alone how many hours I spent. It's okay. Be as honest as you can be. Just fill it in. And the system will stop you when you get to the requisite 4,500 or 7,500 hours. It'll just seize things. It'll stop right there. So you'll put in the hours and you'll vary them up. Oh, and note, if you're wondering, and this matters, by the way, look at the descriptions. My best suggestion to you is when you're on this page, print it out either as a PDF or in paper. You want this page at hand. You do. You really do. You want to, hold on, let's go there. And we're going to just go ahead and say yes. Send that to the network if you would, please. You should hear my printer going off in the background behind me if everything is working the way it's supposed to be working. Oh, there it goes. So I've got my printer running even as we speak because this stuff matters. This stuff matters. Where does it matter? And when does it matter? It matters on the next page. So we're going to save and continue. Then we're going to march forward to this. I want to highlight this paragraph right here. And I want you to look at it very carefully. I do. I need you to look at this paragraph right there. Add experience. In the space below, provide a high-level description that summarizes your experience on this project and includes. Now, note what it's got. It's got 4 bullets. PMI doesn't kind of sort of want things in this format. They want things in this format. What devastates me is I've been telling people that, this is the way it goes and that they need to do this precisely the way it's spelled out here. And then people will send me their applications. And I'll look at their application. I'll say, you didn't follow the PMI format. Well, I thought it was more important to explain the narrative on what I was doing. And my eyes pop out of my head, and I'm replacing them regularly because this is the outline they want. This is the format that they want. This is exactly how they want it. Now, I have printed out the previous page, and for a good reason. because it says in the space below, provide a high-level description that summarizes your experience on this project. Oh, another question from Ann. My first project was 2012 to 2014, and then I had a gap because of a company merger. Will that be okay? Yeah. Oh, it doesn't have to be truly consecutive. You have to be able to show 3 years of experience across the past 8. So if you had 2 years back around 2012 and 1 more year up here in 2018, yeah, you'll have your 3 years. That's all good. It's okay. That's fine. Now, let's talk about what goes in here. First, the project objective and outcome. Oh, objective and deliverable. A new onboarding process. Now note, I used the word process. Shocking. Yeah, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Why? Because it's a new process. And then you look at what did I do in each of, and notice it says your responsibilities and deliverables for the domains for which you are putting in experience hours. So what's missing out of this one is my role on the project. Role. PM. Oh, yes, they know what a PM is. I don't have to do that. And then it says your responsibilities and deliverables for each of the domains: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. How am I supposed to know what words to use there, Carl? Well, you might recall I took the previous page and I printed it out. Initiating. Define the project scope and obtain approval from stakeholders. Perform project assessment. Perform key stakeholder analysis. Oh, wow. So I just took most of the words out of here and stuffed them under initiating. Let's go down to planning. Oversaw a team of 3 to generate project plan. Oh, look at this. Develop project plan is part of planning the project. Oh, I stole words from here again. I reworded it a little. One thing under planning, though, planning and executing, someplace in there, identify the fact that you were working with or leading a team. Just that you were working with or leading a team. You need to make sure that it doesn't come across sounding like I was captain of a rowboat. That does not fly with PMI. It really doesn't. So just so you know, if you're wondering, where do you get the verbiage for these little one-line descriptions? Oh, it's the page you printed off just before you got to this page. That's right, the domains. You remember we were looking at the domains? This is them. I printed them out. And now I can fill in that data. Executing, worked with team of 8 to build the new process. Met with customer to review accomplishment, gain direction, archived the documents. Those are all cold, right out of the original description of the domains from the previous page. If you can find stuff that you did and mirror it off that, you're in great, great shape. And note down here at the bottom, you have to do this between 300 and 550 characters. A lot of people look at the character limitation as being horrible. It's not. I got it all done for this one particular project here with 326 characters. Done. Yeehaw! So this one kicked it. Be careful. Anything that sounds like it's ongoing work, fatal. Anything that sounds like you are, well, just a worker bee, fatal. Anything that sounds like you were working solo, fatal. Carl, actually, I was working solo. I got a vendor in, and I actually, it was just me and the vendor. Then you weren't working solo. You had the vendor's team as your team. Oh, well, but they don't work for us. Doesn't matter. I don't care. And think about this too. If some of your work, if some of your past was actually managing by project management, and you had no title as project manager, that's okay. My last year and a half of experience prior to getting into project management, and this will be terrifying for you, over 25 years ago, oh yeah, I've been around this stuff a while. When I sat for the PMP exam, I had to come up with 4,500 hours just like you do. And my challenge was I only had about a year and a half's experience. I had to find the other year and a half's experience. My prior job, and this is kind of a weirdo thing, I am proof that project management is the accidental profession. Prior to being a project manager, I was a member of the media. Sorry. Yeah, I was the news director at WASH Radio in Washington, D.C. Ha! That's weirdness. If any of you ever want to talk weird career paths, just so you know, I will always win. Yeah, I've got the world's weirdest career path. But notwithstanding, the beauty of it was I had to figure out how do I couch all the stuff I was doing at WASH in project management terms. I was also responsible for something called the public file for WASH and for WTOP. And that was my big project while working at WASH and TOP. I was actually the guy responsible for maintaining FCC certification for both stations. And the interesting part about that, every year you've got to do that. That's a project. It is. It's a big deal. It actually ensures the radio station can stay on the air. Huh. So that became a big part of my application. If you're looking back in time and you're going back going, well, I've only been a project manager since 2016, and you really need to rack up some hours yet, be thinking about what did I manage as a project? And you'd be surprised how many kind of oddball careers can actually fit in very nicely because project management is pervasive. It's everywhere. It's the nice thing about our profession is it is literally everywhere. People just don't realize that they're managing by project. So that takes you through one pass on the application. Now for your experience, lather, rinse, repeat. You'll need to go back through this multiple times just to make sure. You'll go through the whole process. You'll then complete all the optional information. And do understand, it's optional. If you don't want to give PMI more data, please don't feel like you have to. And when you get down to the agreement, it's basically going to ask you, do you hereby subscribe to the notion that you will adhere to the PMI Code of Ethics? If you don't say yes, you can't be a PMP. So you will have to suck it up and say, yes, I'll be part of the body. I'll be a member of the group. I'll be in the club. But you'll have to acknowledge that you are actually willing to deal with that. And when you hit review and submit, that's when it's going to pop you one of two emails. First email will say, it's all good. Thanks a lot for applying. We'll be back to you in 3 to 5 days. Or you'll get the other email. You've been randomly selected. No. I didn't want to be randomly selected for an audit. And you'll receive another email that'll say, here are the forms that all of your organizational contacts will need to sign, and you'll need to snail mail back to PMI. And then you'll start that process. The record on that, by the way, one student I had said, it wasn't so bad, Carl. I submitted my application on a Friday. I got the notice Friday night that I had been selected for a random audit. By the way, it pops up right then. The moment you click that button and you can't go back, there's none of that. But got that. And he said, on Monday morning, I was ready. I ran around to my organizational contacts, all of whom I could reach out and touch. Got them to sign the forms, got all the forms together. By Monday afternoon, I had all the forms stuffed into a FedEx and was sending them back to PMI. On Wednesday morning, I got the notice from PMI. We have received your application. It is now in process. Thursday afternoon, he got the email. Congratulations. You have passed the audit and may schedule your exam at any time. And it wasn't a busy time because he called his local Prometrics testing center and boom. Scheduled his exam for Friday, passed the exam on Friday. So in the course of a week, he went from being, oh my gosh, I've been audited, to I am a certified project management professional. So the audit is totally doable. You can survive this thing. And that is the heart and soul of what we wanted to cover today. So now let me go to, where are you? Attendees, there you are. And let me make sure you are all unmuted here. Okay. Chidi, you are self-muted only at this point. Eva, you are unmuted, just so you know. It says I've got you muted. I don't know why it doesn't love me here. Harold, you are live, just so you know. Your mic is green. Same for you, Jeffrey. Just wandering through all these. If you want to mute yourself, please feel free to do so. Okay, and Zach claims to have unmuted you. Actually, I'm saving you for last. Now you're unmuted. Hearing a lot of lovely background noise. There we go. Self-muted. Muted. Anthony, I've got you off. Bethany, let me let you loose. Okay, anybody have any honest to gosh real? Oh, when should you take the exam? Mikesha, when you're ready. And I know that sounds ambiguous, but let me give you the answer, and that is you should take the exam once you've found a solid set of practice tests. Let me get the person with background noise silenced here. Find out who that is. Actually, I'm going to silence you. Sorry. I think that might be you. No, it wasn't. I've got somebody here who's making a lot of racket. Ah, Harold. It's you. There. You should take the exam, frankly, as soon as you've been doing practice tests to the point where you have reached the desired score. Now, if you are using Rita Mulcahy's book, for example, you need to be getting 90% or better on her practice tests. They are too easy, but they're good tests. So once you're getting 90% or better, you're pretty much loaded for bear. If you're in many of the other books, Alien Ellis's, I'm trying to think of who else is out there. If you're on pmstudy.com, if you're in a bunch of the other ones, most of the rest, if you're getting over 80%, you're in pretty good fettle. And when I send you the email, of course, I'll be sending all my promotional stuff, and mine will include our practice tests, which are available for purchase, and our PMP prep course. But do you take the exam after you submit the application? Yeah. You submit the application, PMI comes back and says, you now have 1 year from the date of submittal in which to take the exam. 1 year. Now that gives you plenty of time to panic, prep again, panic again. And the key here, though, for any of you who are thinking about doing this in earnest, is prep every single day like a clock, doing games, doing practice tests, doing whatever it takes, and do it every single day, 45 minutes a day. And by the way, 45 minutes a day, that's it. You're done. For crying out loud, somebody, Carl, I spend 3 hours every night. Shoot yourself. What a waste of time, because you are pouring coffee into a full cup. You shouldn't be doing that. 45 minutes, there's a reason. 45 minutes is even the far end of the threshold. You know why? Because if you've ever watched a 2-year-old, and everybody knows 2-year-olds, sponges. They gather up everything. If you've ever watched a 2-year-old, the reason they are such effective sponges is because they'll play with something and they'll be like, oh, wow, this is great. This is the best thing I've ever played with. Then 20 minutes later, they're done. They've moved on to something else. And that's why they're such good sponges, is because they know you can't just keep playing with the same toys. Would you be sending a list of books you just mentioned? Oh, yeah. When I send you your email that says, hey, you were there, and you got your certificate, I'll be sending you links. I'll be sending you a list of books. I'll send you the whole laundry list. So that'll be, and the online course and exam is only available now. Ava, the CAPM, yeah, you can only take an online exam for the CAPM. But if you're taking the CAPM, you and I need to talk. And the reason I say that is because you shouldn't be taking the CAPM. You honestly should be taking, instead just you should be taking just a PMP exam. It's a matter of finding the experience. And that's why I stress, I was a news guy before I became a project manager. And I found a way to couch my news experience as PMP experience. And I really think that's kind of part of the name of the game. You really want to be able to do that. Let's see here. Should a PMP... Oh, go ahead. You were saying something?
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
This is Ziva. Hi. So I noticed that the online course is available for the CAPM, but it's not available for the PMP. I think that's the only thing that I'm really concerned about. It's not necessarily the experience, but being able to find the education courses in the 35 hours.
I'll send you a link for that. Yeah. Because I've got an online course in PMP, but yeah, if that's what you're looking for, I'd love to be that guy. Yeah, we can do that.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. And the other question that came up was, should a PMP bootcamp be used as a review, or will it go over key terms for the exam? Oh, if you have not taken somebody's, and I'm not necessarily selling you on mine, although I'm kind of a fan of mine, but you need some PMP exam specific training. Trying to self-train for this thing is an exercise in futility. It really is. And thinking you can go in, I've been doing project management for 20 years. I've got it licked. Well, God bless you, but it is not going to go well. Yeah. The exam is, and the exam changes. I mean, that's the weirdo thing. Past 3 months, I've been getting endless, and I mean endless, notes from people saying, you didn't really talk as much about the sequencing that was going to be on the exam, and that was a good third of my questions. So spent the last 3 months building a sequencing game just so people can start learning that piece of it. And I think that's really kind of the key, is making sure that you have all the pieces. Do you recommend Rita's book? Yeah, Rita's book is fine. The only thing, again, be aware, Rita's questions are too easy. They are too easy. So that's actually a problem, because some people will get like a 70% on Rita's and go, I am so ready. And then they get hammered on the exam. I was getting 75% on Rita's stuff. And it's like, yeah, so you weren't ready. That's the real key, is knowing what's the rubric for that particular exam, that particular practice test, as to, oh my gosh, I'm ready. That's really what we need to be gunning for. Oh, let's see, that was Harold's question. Okay. And let's see if we got any hands up from people who are trying to holler something else. Nothing in the chat, so everything's coming in the Q&A. I love technology. It is my friend. Okay, Trisha, I'm going to unmute you because you got your hand up. I don't know if that's why. And Vishal, I'm unmuting you because you've got your hand up. So you're both self-muted now. Oh, Trish took her hand down. Yeah, it's like, no, thank you. And Vishal took his hand down. So I think we're good there. Okay. And with that, it is 12:04. And I am game. I will hang out here as long as any of you want me to. But the rest of you, you've got your 1 hour down, and I'll be sending you an email with the certificate, all the links that we've chatted about here. I'll connect you out to every possible tool that is out there so that you can go ahead and just start drilling away and hammering away at this. And I am a cheap and easy resource. I am the cost of an email, and my email address is Carl, C-A-R-L, at carlpritchard.com. That's Carl at carlpritchard.com. And let me just slide over here, punch that, and come on. There you go. And go LGW. And that should then pop up over here. There we go. Isn't that just lovely? Excellent. So, hypothetically at least, that should cover us. Put us where we need to be. Oh, there I am. And seeing no hands, seeing no, oh, wait. I bought the prep kit that included the exam. a couple more questions pop up. Should a PMP boot camp be used as a review? Yeah, we talked about that. Do you recommend Rita's ninth book? Talked about that. I bought a prep kit that had included the simulated exam. Harold, let me just say to you, good. The only question is, whose exam? If you're talking Rita Mulcahy's, just a heads up, again, too easy. So just make sure you're really almost pinning the needles when you're taking that practice test. And don't just take it once. Take it again and again and again, just until you're just tired of it. So that's that one. Is the handbook on the PMI site a good resource? No, we started today talking about that. Remember I showed you the link for the handbook over there? And I said, don't go there. People go there, and then I start getting the email traffic. Carl, I'm reading in the handbook that there's this and there's that and there's this. And it's like, I've covered the fundamentals, what you need to do to apply for the exam. Don't. If the handbook drives you in another direction, I want you to know that it's only doing so because it's calling out every special circumstance that could possibly exist. And I volunteered, there's my email address, I volunteered to review your application. So if you save it down as a PDF and you want somebody to take a look at it, I'll look at it and I'll go, perfect. Or I'll look at it and go, don't do that. So I will stop you from doing evil. I will really try to. Is the handbook and the exam content outline. Yeah, the exam content outline is helpful, but it doesn't reflect the nature of the questions you're going to get. And like I said, it changes regularly. The beauty of being me is the fact that I've got enough students out there that they provide me feedback and say, hey, I had so many sequencing questions, I just about freaked. Well, that's new data. And that's data you need because it means you should be spending some serious time on the sequence. Let's see. Thank you. I'll send you my app today. Yay. Good plan, Jeff. I got it approved in 2016 and never tested. Yeah, people stall at different parts of the process. Once you start going every single day, practice, test, study, review, all that stuff, every single day. Now, when you're ready, you're ready. Let's see here. Thanks, Carl. Good session. Thank you, Chidi. Let's see. How many months should I study on the exam? Oh, Mikesha, I'm going to be the most, this is like the weeniest answer. And that is as many as it takes to get you up to 80% on most of the practice tests or 90% on Rita's. Yeah. I mean, that's really, because some people can do that in a couple of weeks. Other people, that takes 6 months. So, you're special. And it's really important to just kind of make sure that you know just what makes you special. Let's see here. Should I study? Yes. Yeah. Okay. You got it. I love to ask questions and have a good resource. Yep. Well, Ava, I am that guy. I am here and at your service. So with that, I think we have now burned through the entire questions list. I think we're there. Oh, Mikesha, you're welcome. Yeah, no worries. So you all know where to find me. You all know how I can help you, and I will. PMI is basically of a philosophy that knowledge is power shared. We don't get anywhere for not sharing information freely. You got my email address. Anything else I can do? Just scream real loud. I hope you all have an amazing weekend. Thanks a lot for being here. Take care. Bye-bye.